All right, so welcome to another episode of Sudden Change Pod. It's your boy Beans here. Special guest today. We got Shaq here once again, the voice of the people when it comes to the Eagles. How you feeling today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. You already know I'm on a high still. You already know, man. I'm always
Oh
blessed to
man,
be here with you, brother.
good. I'm glad to be able to have you on again.
Yes, sir.
So let's start Super Bowl and then we can work backwards. So
Okay.
had a great season going into the Super Bowl. How you feeling? What are your expectations? All the talk is about Chiefs three-peat. How you
Mhm.
feeling going into the game?
Oh, I knew we were gonna get our lick back. I knew it. There was 0% worry with me. Like I knew when the Eagles beat Washington in the NFC Championship game, I had a feeling that it was gonna be the Chiefs because I just knew I was playing into the whole, the refs want the Chiefs to get the three-peat. That's the NFL storyline. And I just knew we were going to face them. I just knew we were going to beat them. There was zero doubt in my mind. The reason why I was so confident is that the first time we played them back in when we played them in Arizona, in Super Bowl, it was a 57.
Mhm.
I knew that they hadn't seen a defense like this. And plus, there was some conditions with the field. It was
Yeah.
slippery. The defensive line couldn't really attack the rusher. I mean, could attack the passer like they wanted to.
Yeah.
And, that hurts fumble, in that first game, that Super Bowl matchup that proved that 10-point swing or whatever it was. I just knew that this team this time around was completely different. We were hungrier, way better defense. Our corners were better.
Mhm.
Defensive line was better. Jalen is just in another place. He's a psycho now. Healthy offensive line. We were just on all levels, just overall head and shoulders better than the Chiefs. And I just knew it. I mean, the national media wanted to see Patrick Mahomes win, and they felt like the Chiefs just were just this superpower. And I just knew that we had it. We had it in the bag. There was no doubt about mine.
Yeah, I think on paper you guys definitely were the better team. I think the thing is the Chiefs often aren't the better team.
Right.
They have gone against teams that were better than them, but Pat just always has found a way. But when it came to you
Always
guys,
found a way.
from the beginning of the game, you guys pretty much dominated. So at what point in the
Right.
game did you know not only was that you were going to win, but like, oh, this is not even gonna be close. Like we are that much better than them.
Some people will say after the Smitty touchdown, when Jalen threw it like 45 yards touchdown pass,
Mm.
I thought that the game was going to be out of hand. It was going to get ugly when Patrick threw the second interception, when they were close to their goal line, and he threw the interception to Zach Bond. And I'm like, okay, this dude
Mm.
is seeing ghosts. And I was like, I think we got him in a good place.
Yeah.
After everything else, I was like, yeah, that's just icing on the cake. I knew that the game wasn't going to be close. I was hoping for a shutout. And at one point I thought it was going to be,
Oh goodness.
but after that second interception, I was like, yeah, we got Pat where we want him.
Yeah, it was. I've never really. I think the Tampa Bay Super Bowl where they lost, he didn't look great, but I've never seen him look the way that he looked
Bro,
against
he
you
looked
guys.
confused, bro. He looked
Yeah. So
confused.
what is it about that defense that you guys have finally put together that you think was just able to keep him completely off guard, off track?
So, it all starts with Vic Fangio. So, funny story. Vic helped us I think in like an administrative role, advisor role, helped us prepare for Super Bowl against the Chiefs the first time.
Hmm.
But he was just kind of helping the offense. He wasn't really helping the defense, which was weird. And
Okay.
then the plan for the front office was to say, hey, Jonathan Gannon is actually taking head coaching jobs, so he might actually be gone. So like the word on the street and the media circles with the Eagles was that Fangio was supposed to be the defensive coordinator last year, 2023. But the way that the Jonathan Gannon hiring with Arizona played out, it kind of delayed it. He was like,
Right.
look, man, Miami's offering me a job. I'm gonna go there. So I think, everything that transpired in Miami, the players said they wanted him out. They said he was too hard on them as a coach. They didn't want to play for him, yada,
Yeah.
yada. So then it just worked out that they fired him or they mutually separated, whatever the case may be. Philly's on the block and said, look, hey, we tried to make this happen the first time. Let's come back home. He always wanted to be in Philly. His family's in Philly. He was raised like in the Philadelphia area. And he was like, this feels right for me. So then Vic finally um, got rid of whatever it was last year we were doing on defense. I think we were like close to second to last in defense.
Mm.
And he basically took one of the worst defensive teams in the league in 1 year and made him the number one overall. And I just think it's the way his scheme is just so revered around the league. I was a skeptic of it because we had a disciple from the Vic Fangio tree and it wasn't working.
Right.
So then when we got him on the team on this year, I'm like, man, I don't know, man. We just had Sean Desai. It's not working. I mean, he's supposed to run these Vic principles with the pass rush and not giving up the big yardage, but we saw us getting sliced up by Tampa Bay in the playoffs. And then when we get the actual guy, I was still skeptical, but he proved me wrong. He proved me
Yeah.
wrong, man. And then, he proved that he could win with a young defense. Like I think
Yeah.
our defense
Very
on
young.
average is like 25. And then doing it with two rookie cornerbacks, that's unheard of.
Right.
Like with Quinyon Mitchell on the outside and Cooper DeJean in the nickel, and then with an aging Slay, it's just like, man. And then, when you have a Jalen Carter up front, that just makes life, a lot more easier for the defensive back. So Vic Fangio's definitely the the driving force behind us, like, shutting down Pat. And mind you, he has an 0-8 record against Patrick Mahomes going back to when he was like with um the Bears and he's with the Broncos. But the thing is, Vic Fangio never had the offense to keep up. He can keep, you know, Patrick Mahomes, within a reasonable game, keeping, 14, 15 point game, but he
Yeah.
never had the offense to kind of keep up with him. So I think now when, it was kind of personal, I think now when he has like this offense that we saw with AJ, Saquon, Jalen, Smitty, Dallas Goddard, and that offensive line, he's like, oh yeah, we can shut this guy out.
Yeah.
And then, shout out to Howie Roseman. He just got all the right pieces in place on defense, man. We never thought we would, pay a linebacker the money that we did, or um, him taking on a cornerback early in the draft. It's a combination of Vic Fangio and Howie Roseman. They've really turned that defense around in 1 year, and it's amazing, man. In all my years of an Eagles fan, I've never seen a defense like that ever.
Yeah, they were lights out. The last time we talked, it was I think May of last year, not long after the draft.
Right,
And
right,
we
right.
talked a lot. We talked a lot about, you guys getting those two corners early. So tell
Mm,
me what your expectations were for them going in the season versus what we saw at the end, where they were both very good.
right. So with Quinion, I knew like he was going to push for one of those starting corner positions because I knew the team was in. It was tough, contract wise to move James Bradbury.
Hmm.
So from my understanding, that Quinion won that outside cornerback position outright in camp, and I
Hmm.
was excited, but I was a little skeptical. Rookie cornerbacks are kind of hit or
Tough.
miss.
Yeah.
But from all the reports I've heard in camp, he was just holding his own, talking trash to AJ, getting in Smitty's face, staying with him, getting like pass breakups. He didn't look like a rookie, basically.
Right.
And then with Cooper DeJean, even going a um, little further back, Eagles didn't expect him to be there in the second round. He had
Shouldn't have
first
been.
round grade. He had top 20 grades on him. Like, they thought he was going to go first round, but I think that leg injury that he sustained his senior year, it kind of scared some teams off. And for somehow, how he always gets his way, he got him in the second round. And they thought that Green Bay was going to get him,
We should have.
but Green Bay passed on him. Um, and so the Eagles struck there, and then with him, he's more versatile as a corner. He can play
Yeah.
inside, outside. As you saw, he did some special teams work for us this year.
Yeah.
And the way Vic just integrated those two rookies, and they just looked like pros out there, man. They never looked lost. They just always looked in control. They just looked confident. They played with like such, you know, like they just had like a veteran presence to them, but they're rookies. And that's something that we've missed and haven't had since like the Sheldon Brown, Lito Shepherd years. And that's going back to
Mm.
like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
So man, I'm just so pleased with them, and again, they're rookies. So like those are two anchors that we have on defense. So I expect them in year two just to take a step up.
Yeah, the future is very bright for the defense, especially for that cornerback room.
Hmm.
Um, among others, the biggest offseason addition, of course, was Saquon. We all had high expectations, but he had a few games this year. I'm like, is he in the league all his own? Like, what do you
Yeah,
see from him
man.
this year?
Uh, listen, I when it initially got out that the Giants were, contemplating on letting him go, there wasn't, I was like, there's no way how he does this, how he doesn't pay running backs. And there's no way a running back like that, like Saquon, right? You're talking about a top three running back in the game, even with the Giants. That how we was going to pay him what he paid him. But he bucked the trend, man. He's like, look, I want to get back to the Super Bowl. Saquon is a difference maker. He was probably the missing piece, and he went out there and signed him. And then I'm a, I try to keep things relative and realistic. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
Saquon's gonna have a good year. He's gonna be playing behind the best offensive line he's ever had. He's gonna be
hmm
playing behind, the best quarterback. He has all this help, best coaching. But to be 59 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's record, I didn't expect that. I knew he was gonna help us.
yeah,
Plus, it was all that injury history stuff like you had to
yeah.
consider. But that dude was like, that was one of the greatest running back seasons we've ever seen.
In person for sure.
So he just exceeded expectations, man.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, some people might have thought, but I thought he was going to be good. I know he's playing behind the best line that he's ever played with. But I think the big difference with that is like you're not can hit as much in the backfield. Then you don't have to worry about
That's
the injuries as
facts,
much. It's like
right?
you don't realize how much all that is kind of intertwined because he stayed healthy. I don't. Did he have any injuries this year?
He got
Some
banged
small,
up
right?
here and there, but yeah,
Yeah,
he never missed the game, I don't think.
right. Yeah, so it definitely makes a difference when you're playing against with a better offensive line.
Facts.
Were there any moments during the season that stood out to you where you're like, okay, I think like I know we were good, but like we're Super Bowl caliber. Like I can see it now.
I would say after that Ravens game,
Big one.
um, that was a tough stretch too. Um, the that run that we went on, after the 2-2 start, and I'll be honest with you, man. I After that Browns game where we barely beat Cleveland, we were coming off the bye, you know, we had that horrible loss against Tampa and that heartbreaking loss against Atlanta. And we go into Cleveland after the bye, and it's like, dog, we don't look good. And I wanted Sirianni gone. I'm like, dude, he hired Kellen Moore to run his offense, and still it's like, Sirianni was meddling and trying to, he was thinking too much. He was
Yeah.
getting into it with the fans.
Mm.
And then we went on that run, and then I was just saw like they were using Saquon more. Jalen was getting more in rhythm. But that Ravens game, when I was like, all right, this is like a potential Super Bowl matchup. And the Ravens were hot at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this team could go all the way.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is the game where I'm measuring them, and I'm like, if they can beat the Ravens, who are every year they're considered like Super Bowl favorites, Super Bowl contenders. They just got Derrick Henry. Lamar's having another MVP caliber season, and I'm like, if they can keep them in check, just keep the game close, look competitive. That was the game, and I was like, yeah, this team can go all the way for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I think that was definitely was a turning point because the Ravens were very good at that point.
Yeah, they were
Um,
hot.
you brought up Sirianni, and I can't remember. I know we had to have talked about it when we talked before, but
Mhm.
on what side of the keep them, don't keep them fence were you on prior to the season?
And I thought that they should have gotten rid of him after the 2023 season, to be honest with you, bro.
Mm.
Um, I felt like, to be honest, the way the 2023 season ended, like, losing to the Cardinals, and then I know the game was meaningless, but we lost the last game to the Giants.
Right.
And then in that game, AJ got hurt. And it
hmm
was just like why he got hurt is like he ran a stupid screenplay. And then he's like, why are the starters even playing when you're already you clinched the playoff already. Why are you out there running dumb plays with the starters? And
Right.
there was talks that, the locker room might be a little bit divided and people were questioning Hurts, play calling. Offense looked stale at times. Like there was no fluidness to the offense. It was that big drama with them firing Sean Desai and hiring Matt Patricia with
Mm.
like
About that.
halfway
Yeah.
into the season. It was like it didn't make sense. And the defense got worse under Patricia. And that all came under, that was a Sirianni thing. And I was just like, dude, yeah, he got to the Super Bowl, but it's just like maybe we need somebody more of an innovation, like maybe like I don't know, like someone more of offensive minded who can call their own plays, who is good with working with quarterbacks.
Mm.
But then, the front office stuck by him, and I'm just like, oh well, we'll see. We'll see. And then again, it was that Cleveland game. I'm like, all right, I'm completely done with this dude.
Yeah.
But then we went on that run, and then I saw like the reports coming out, and it just players just love him. Like we
Mm.
truly don't know what really goes on to the locker room. Like these players come out and they defend Nick like they're related to him. Like they're just like, nah, we love him. A plus dude, fights for his players. He never throws his players under the bus.
True.
Um, he might, and that's something that's I probably as a fan need to just accept. Like he's never gonna be like the mastermind, like an Andy Reid
Mm.
or like a Sean Payton, like an X and O's dude, but like he might be just that CEO type head coach where like, hey, I'm gonna motivate my guys, we'll put the right people in the right places. We're never out in any game, that type of mindset. And this was working. And that's what worked this year. And leaders like Jalen love him, Brandon Graham love him, Lane Johnson, they all just sing his praises. So,
Mm.
I'm really proud. He's definitely grown as a coach. You can see like he's more mature now and the way he just goes about it. Like he's very I'm a little still kind of like with the fourth down stuff, but he was for me for the most part this year he was money.
Mm.
Um and again, like dude, it's just amazing. Like winning solves a lot.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
when you're in the doghouse of losing, it's just like everything is just like looks like sky is falling, but winning cures all. And then like that again, when we went on that run after the Cleveland game, I was like, okay, maybe this guy does know what he's doing. Maybe he is taking a step back. He's letting Kellen run his offense. He's letting Vic Fangio do his thing. He's letting his players play. And he definitely got a change of heart out of me.
Yeah. Do you think that's kind of the stance from Philly fans? Because Philly is like one of the toughest towns to play in the coaching. Do
Right.
you think this Super Bowl keeps him in the fans' good graces for a while, or is like if he doesn't prove it next year, then they're right back to we don't know if we like him?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, again, winning, you keep winning,
Yeah.
you're in everybody's good graces. And I think here's the kicker with that. You now set the standard where the Super Bowl is the goal. So
Yeah.
anything less, it's now we're looking at you. And I just know how Philly fans are. They're going to be like, now that Kellen's no longer in the building anymore. He went on and took a job with the Saints. He hired his boy, Kevin Patullo, who was the passing game coordinator. Um, and we saw from when we went to the Super Bowl in 2022, Shane Steichen was the guy calling the plays, and Jalen had his best statistical year under Steichen.
Mm.
He went on to become the coach of Indy. And then they did an internal hire to Ben Johnson. And the rumor is that that was Nick's choice. Like, just let's make an internal hire. We felt like Ben Johnson's ready. And we saw like the offensive struggles, the offensive up and down all year. It looked like the offense was freestyling. That's
Mm.
the fear going into this upcoming year. Um, with Kevin Patullo, he has no history of calling plays.
Mm.
I mean, his only benefit is that there's some continuity there because he was in the quarterback room this year with Kellen Moore. He knows Jalen, he knows the offense, but he doesn't know how to. We don't know what his philosophies are because he never got a chance to really input them. So it could be a repeat of Ben Johnson, or it could be a fresh new start. It could be a total revolution in the offensive room. I just hope that Sirianni continues his approach where I'm going to let you do your thing. I'll just continue to manage it. Um, and I just hope like the offense just keeps growing because Jalen, he's only 26.
Mm.
Saquon is still in his prime. AJ's still in his primes. I think Smitty still is not even close to his ceiling yet. We have
Agreed.
a young offensive line. Man, just build on what you already established. Just go up. I mean, this is a young team. I just want to see them continue to keep going. Like, there's no reason why we can't be in the next dynasty talks. There's no reason. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you touched on it. I wanted to move on to this the off season, what needs you have for the off season. But
mm,
as I look at your rosters, like O line's good, good tight end, good wide receiver,
yeah,
good quarterback, good running back, secondary's good, linebackers, D line. Like what if you're in Howie's position, what are you looking for in the off season? What do you need to improve on? It seems like you got everything.
yeah. Well, as you know, you can't keep everybody. And after the season that you've had, you know, stellar defense, stellar offense, guys are going to want to get paid. Every year, someone's going to be in a contract year.
Hmm.
Um, so according to Howie, he came out just, a lot of the teams are in Indy right now for the combine. Howie came
Right.
out and said, look, man, we're going to lose some starters. But what Howie has proven is that he knows how to, number one, work the cap. And then number two, he knows how to get talent in the building quickly.
Hmm.
Um, we might lose Milton Williams. He was one of our rotational, semi-starter defensive tackles. He made that big strip sack on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He's gonna probably be top. He's gonna get top five money as a defensive tackle. Like
Hmm.
I know his agent is gonna get. He's gonna he even when we drafted him, he's always made a couple of like key big plays like every other game. It seems like
Yeah.
Milton Williams was popping up like another strip sack here, key tackle for loss in the back room. But it was like he got lost behind like Jalen Carter playing behind Fletcher Cox.
Right.
Um, but now like we saw what he can do on the biggest stage, and he's gonna demand a big payday. We gotta pay Zach Bond. He just went from being a special teams dude in New Orleans and now Vic picked him out and was like, I want this guy on my team to run, linebacker for me. And he turned him into an all pro.
Yeah.
Like,
Crazy.
even when we signed him, we were like, oh, like, we don't even know if he was going to be a defensive end or a linebacker.
Right.
And then, he's going to want money. Um, Slay is in a contract year. Slay's 34, 35 years old.
It's a
Like,
tough decision there.
do you bring him back? He said he wants to be in Philly, but he also understands like you can't pay everybody.
Right.
Dallas Goddard, um, I love him. When he's on the field, he's great. But every year, Dallas Goddard misses games due to injury. And you don't want that drop off there, when you're second tight end. Do you just
Hmm.
double up like New England did? You get like a AJ, I mean, like a Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski type of thing going. Like, do you draft the tight end early? You got to think about Lane's replacement. Um,
Yeah.
Lane's getting older. Lane said he doesn't have a lot of football left.
Mm.
Mekhi Becton, he was a starter right guard. He's going to want to get paid. He played great. I felt like he was a borderline Pro Bowler for us this year. You got to pay him. There's a lot of guys that need their bread, man, and they deserve it. But there's only so much money that can go around. I know how he's going to do some restructuring. Um,
Definitely.
there's some guys that need some extensions this year, like Cam Jurgens, our center,
Yeah.
played the Super Bowl with a bad back. Jalen's probably going to restructure his contract. Do you pay a guy like Isaiah Rodgers? He was coming in for Slay when Slay would miss some games, or Slay had to come out due to injury in the games. He stepped in beautifully. Like, do you pay him?
Right.
Um, so the offseason is going to look it's going to be fun. I said it's going to be fun because I like watching how he work. He understands the cap again. Um, and like with the combine, it's like, I think the positions that we're looking at, the combine is rich in this year, especially like on the defensive line,
Hmm.
because we may be losing Josh Sweat as well. Of course, Milton Williams, I just mentioned. I think they're going to make Zach Vaughn a priority, but there's
Should.
going to be some guys that were on the Super Bowl team that won't be here next year. There might be some guys returning. There might be some surprise trades that we didn't see coming. But I
Hmm.
think, at the end of the day, he's gonna keep the level of talent high. Like he's gonna find elite talent to replace it. So I just like to see him work, especially around this time of year. Like, No one thought we were going to get Jalen Carter when we did. No one thought we were going to get Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, where we got him. So this time of the year is always exciting because how he works those phones, man. He's like, hey, I'll send you this. And then, hey, man, the big fish, Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett, he said, man, everybody want to play in Philly.
Yeah,
So we got some capital there. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
yeah. He always finds a way. I mean, I would be shocked if that happened, but it's possible knowing the way that
It's
he works.
possible. It's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. So I want to talk about the division real quick, but I think a question that people that are not watching Philly every week have is like, how happy is AJ Brown really there? Because there's always these little stories popping up like, oh, he's not getting the ball enough. He's mad about this. He's doing the
Yeah,
diva
yeah,
wide receiver thing. Do you think
yeah.
he's ultimately happy there and they're just making stuff up, or is there actually a little tension
I think here's my honest opinion. People can take this however they want. I'm just speaking for me.
there?
AJ is still a young dude. I feel like he's still a little immature the way he goes about things. However, with that said, I think he's happy because people don't know him and Jalen are best friends. Like I think Jalen is the godfather of his daughter.
Really?
Yeah, like they're
Hmm.
really tight. Like they're really close. Um, Jalen was the one that said to Howie back in the 2020 before the 2022 season, he said, "Yo, you got to get this dude. If he's available and trade, go get him." And then how we worked the phones,
Yeah.
somehow got AJ in Philly. And you know that viral video, they FaceTime each other. That's I think that's what should be highlighted. That's the kind of like they're excited to play with each other. And it's in the game of like, we NFL is a competitive game, man. They're both dogs. They want the ball. They both want to win. So when
Yeah.
you're not able to produce for your team, there's going to be a level of frustration. We both played on a very competitive baseball team in high school. There were
Mhm.
times where, we were struggling at the plate. You get frustrated,
Yeah.
It's just that you're a competitor. You want to produce, you want to win.
Right.
Um, I don't think he's a distraction by any means, but I feel like he should go about some things a little bit differently. Now that you're a Super Bowl champion, um, you don't want that label of like, yo, are you really the cancer in the room or stuff like that? Like, this is not like a T.O. Donovan type of thing. So I don't want people to like blow that out of, the water with that. It's just AJ wants the ball because he wants to win. It's not a selfish thing. He loves winning so much, and that's the same mindset Jalen has. It's
Hmm.
just that AJ expresses himself differently. Jalen's just more quiet. He just sits by himself. He doesn't smile, process it. With AJ, he's just like he wants to pull out the book. He
Yeah.
may he may say the wrong thing to the media, and they take it the wrong way. It's just AJ's more expressive with
Mm.
with Jalen, he's more reserved. And I think when people saw that during the season, they thought, oh, AJ's unhappy. No, he's not unhappy. He's just like, he wants the ball. He's unhappy with the production because they knew if everybody's clicking in every quarter, there's no reason why this team couldn't average like 40 points a game. That's what I heard from AJ, the way he was explaining it. And I agree. Like if everybody is like playing to their max and to their potential, they should be blowing teams out by 3 or 4 touchdowns every game. But that's the reality of the NFL. And that's why I
Yeah.
said sometimes AJ needs to mature. It's like, yo, you're not going to get that. Everybody's not going to be on their A+ game every game,
Hmm.
But um overall, I don't think I think he's happy. I don't think he's unhappy. I know there's still some trade rumors going around saying that, oh, Vrabel's and Wingler now, that's his boy. He loves Mike Vrabel, excuse me, still. And he, you know, you can flip a first for AJ right now while he's in his prime. And I think he's happy in Philly. He's a winner in Philly. He likes playing with Jalen. I think this is the best team he's ever going to play for.
Probably for sure.
I think his true deep down sentiments, I think he wants to retire in Philly. And I think if he does retire, he'll go down as one of the greatest wide receivers we ever had. Probably will get his jersey retired if he stays with us. So I think he's going to be fine next year.
Yeah, I would think so. Now, on the other side of it, Devontae, you mentioned earlier, you don't think
Mhm.
he's even close to his peak yet. But
Right.
given the, run heavy offense, having AJ on the other side, who is a wide receiver one himself, do we ever see him reach his peak in Philly?
We
Will he have the
could.
opportunity to?
That's a good question. I mean, we could. It was like you look at offenses like Cincinnati, for example. Like
Okay.
T. Higgins can eat. Jamar Chase, he's gonna get his, his touches or
That's
his,
true.
his receptions. Even going back a little bit further, look what Peyton Manning was able to do with, Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison.
Fair.
Everybody can eat. Um, and I just think that's why I'm kind of like holding out hope for Kevin Patullo. Maybe he can see like, hey, there's some opportunities last year, this past Super Bowl year that we saw that during the course of the season, Smitty wasn't getting the ball like he should. Because to me, Smitty's always open. And I
True.
love Devontae Smith. To me, every time he's lined up against somebody, I just think his speed mixed with like his catchability, like I feel like he's always a mismatch, no matter who you put in front of him. So I think like I hope the coaching staff going into this new year, they look and they say, look, we got to get this guy in the ball more. There ain't no reason why this dude can't average about like 90 yards per game.
Fair.
That seems reasonable. And I still think like Devontae Smith is kind of like that borderline Pro Bowl type S receiver.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think maybe there's just one year he might just go off and be an all pro. I think he has that type of ability. But like you mentioned, like you got an offense where you have Dallas Goddard, you got AJ Brown, you got Saquon, Jalen's gonna run. Um, and then you got Jahan Dotson who may, go off for a game or two.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, there's only one ball
Yeah.
and there's a lot of talent that you got to share, that ball with. So um, but I just think the way Smitty goes about it, he carries himself like a one.
Yeah, he does.
His production may not show it, but he carries himself like a number one wide receiver. And I feel like if you put him on a lot of these other teams, he'd be the best wide receiver on that team.
Hmm.
It's just the fact that he's just on a stacked roster with a lot of talented dudes that, need the ball. And the fact that he doesn't care. He's just like, hey, y'all throw me the ball, I'm gonna be ready. And
Fair.
so that's what I love about him, man. But I think, again, going into this new year, I hope we get some more touches for him, get him in the end zone a little bit more. I just think he's a mismatch. He's hard to defend, man. He may be small, but like that dude can route you up. He's
Yeah.
fast. I've seen him catch it over three guys before. Like, he's everything you want in a wide receiver, man. He's
Yeah.
tough. So yeah, man, I love Smitty.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Got a couple minutes left. I just want to talk about the
Mhm.
division real quick. So the Cowboys look like it's just chaos. I don't know what's going on over. But we saw the rise of the
Uh,
Commanders. They look good. So do you think the tide is turning? Are they now your biggest competition in the division? It's going to be the Commanders moving forward.
we'll see, man. We'll see. You see where the Commanders finally realize, like, look, we got to kind of clean house. All right, we
Mhm.
just got to find our franchise guy. We got to get the right coach in the building to, change the culture. We got to get new management in the building. Um, and sometimes that could be the difference maker.
Mhm.
I mean, they were
Definitely.
a lottery team last year.
Yeah.
Um, uh, who's to say that the Giants can, they say, you know what? We're going to find our franchise dude. We have all this cap space. We're going to go and build. They could have a season like you know, Washington. I doubt it. Um, I want to see if Jaden can follow up because we saw CJ Stroud got kind of crowned like a top
Yeah.
five QB his rookie year, and then he just fell off the map.
Yeah.
Granted, his number one and number two wide receiver got hurt.
Hmm.
His protection failed him a lot, but it's sometimes we crown these young quarterbacks, especially too early.
That's fair.
And now there's more film on you.
True.
Look at what Brock Purdy, he went on that run with the 49ers, but now I think there's a lot more film on him.
Hmm.
Teams know how to defend him better.
It's true.
I still think he's, a top 10 quarterback in this league. And I think with his skill set, the way he can throw the deep ball and his elusiveness, he reminds me a lot like Lamar. I think if they continue to build around him, they have a ton of cap space going into this offseason. If they can build around him the right way, Dan Quinn can just, not be Dan Quinn from Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think like, it's going to be us and the Commanders. I'm not worried about Dallas. I feel like Jerry is just too. he meddles too much, and I feel like he's too senile at this point. Like he doesn't
Mhm.
know when to say, maybe I'm the problem.
Yeah,
He wants to win. It's fine that you want to win, but he wants to win his way, and he's been trying to
right.
do that for the past 30 years, and it's not working.
Yeah,
So it is what it is. Yeah, but like you said, I just think it's going to be us and the Commanders, hopefully, because I don't want to. Yeah, we want to dominate the division, but I want to see everybody at their best so that I don't get any excuses. Like, no, we beat y'all when y'all had everybody healthy. Everybody was supposed to be at their best.
yeah,
No excuses. I like beating teams like that. Like I know people always want like a Patriot type run where Brady was running all through the AFC East
yeah,
for for 15 plus years, but I know it looks like the Commanders are coming, man. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see if Jaden can take that leap and possibly get better and continue that success that he had this rookie year.
yeah. I think they'll definitely get better. I think it's a lot of good teams in NFC, so next year
Mhm.
be interesting. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Man, listen, draft is coming up. There's gonna be a lot of moving and shaking. I'm excited to see what the Eagles do. I hope that we can continue to just build off of what we already established. Like I said before, man, the Super Bowl is now the standard. So
Mm,
I hope we can get back. I hope that everybody's talking about Kansas City. I hope that we're the team that's going to be the next three-peat. So I'm looking forward to this offseason. I hope all our players stay healthy, throughout the training. I hope we get some new talent. I hope we get Miles Garrett. And it's always a pleasure being on these pods, man. I just like talking ball, just
for
normally
sure.
without all the advanced stats nerds and
Yeah,
the weird bias fans coming in and trolling and all that stuff. Let's just talk
yeah,
ball, man.
yeah. I love
Have
it.
fun.
Love it. But yeah, I definitely appreciate having you on. At some point in the
Mhm.
season, when the next season starts, we'll have you on again. We'll talk even more.
Yes,
Hopefully, both
sir.
our teams are doing good at that point,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll
Pack is
we'll
gonna
do.
be there, man. Don't worry.
I hope so, man. I hope so. But yeah, another episode, of Sudden Change Pod. Thanks, Shaq, for coming on, and we will see ya later.
Love, brother.
Talk
Love,
to you,
brother.
bro.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No doubt.